Now we are on a Munich Security Conference YouTube studio, and my name is Ramina. I'm a journalist from Ukraine, and here is my guest, Mircea Geoană, the NATO Deputy Secretary. So, Mircea, I'm a journalist from Ukraine, and I take interview and take reports from a front line. So, I have a video question from our soldiers. Could I show it to you?
Please do.
Hello, my name is Ilya Samolenko and I'm the officer of the Azov Brigade. First of all, I want to thank you for the support and thank you for the chance for this appeal. Today is almost like 2 years from the beginning of the full-scale invasion of Russia. The longer it takes, the worse it becomes. Everybody knows that. And any type of war is an expensive thing, but the more expensive it becomes if this war is failed. For our common victory, we need unprecedented support of the allies. I want to stress it out that if we will fail, the consequences for the Europe will be catastrophic. Russia will not stop, both in military way and political way. And I want to ask the question, what kind of new approaches are planning right now for the support of Ukraine? Because it's obvious that the existing ways are not sufficient.
Yeah, that's powerful. First of all, through him and through you and through the colleagues from the Munich Security Conference, our deepest appreciations for the heroism, bravery, and sacrifice of your people in uniform, but also Ukrainians at large. Because in a way, you're fighting our fight. And I just came from Brussels, the headquarters of NATO. We had defense ministers of all NATO nations. And we had the NATO-Ukraine Council, which is a new body we created in Vilnius at our last summit. We had Minister Umerov, and we had all the other defense ministers. Just a few hours before that, we had the meeting, what they call the Ramstein group, the contact group for Ukraine. I have to say that I'm not seeing any sense of fatigue or less of a desire from all allies to continue supporting Ukraine. So let me say one thing from the very beginning. Failure in Ukraine is not an option. Your victory is also something that we have to continue to fight for. We know it's difficult. 2 years, that's a long time, sacrifices, difficult times, not easy. But I encourage you to continue to stay brave and united. We'll do our part. 99% of all the support, military support for Ukraine comes from NATO allies, from nations in NATO. I'm also very happy that the European Union is stepping up. I know that US Congress, in the end, I know that they will be able to approve the package, and we are also continuing to help Ukraine in any way we can. So through your colleague and your countrymen and to all the people of Ukraine, you can count on us. And I know I'm Romanian. All my life, I dedicated my professional and political life in bringing my country into NATO and European Union. We are neighbors with Ukraine.
Yes.
And I know that your nation will be in NATO, will be in European Union. That's your normal place. That's your rightful place. And I know it's tough, but I think we have to keep the hope that this war, you can prevail, you will prevail. And the ultimate destination of such an important European nation like Ukraine is in the Euro-Atlantic family that you belong to. That's where I know you'll become a member of.
So, I have a question about Ukraine and NATO relations. Have you seen the latest Carlson's interview with Putin? It was obvious there that Putin is scared of NATO. And one of the reasons why he began a full-scale invasion was his fear of NATO expansion and wish of Ukraine to be a part of NATO. In your opinion, does Ukraine have a real chance to be a part of NATO?
Yes, I said it and I say it again. Ukraine will become a member of NATO. And of course, Ukrainians, President Zelensky, Minister Kuleba, Olha Stefanishina, all your wonderful leaders, they would like to see Ukraine's membership in NATO happening today, if it's possible. Today, we don't have all the conditions met for your membership, but with the help of NATO, with our support, NATO becomes every day more interoperable with NATO. you're developing one of the most successful militaries in Europe.
Yes.
You're transitioning from the Soviet era equipment, doctrine, and philosophy of defense to NATO doctrine and philosophy of defense. So I know that your place is in NATO. And we have a summit in Washington in July. And I see an even closer connection between Ukraine and NATO as a bridge towards your membership. So you'll become a member of NATO, you'll become a member of the European Union, and these two organizations are two sides of the same coin. Until now, NATO enlargement was first, and European Union came after that. It happened to all the countries that joined NATO and the EU after the fall of communism. And something about Mr. Putin and his, two countries that have been neutral for decades, Finland, and for centuries, Sweden. Sweden has been a neutral country since 1812. Mm-hmm. And such a formidable strategic failure for Russia is that by attacking Ukraine, they determined two very important countries, and now to join NATO. Sweden will be coming soon, a new member. So now we have, NATO has, Russia, and the eastern flank of NATO is from the Barents Sea, North Sea, Baltic Sea, Black Sea, our sea, and the Mediterranean Sea. So in itself, Mr. Putin managed to do just the opposite of his original intention. He wanted NATO to go back from its original frontier. Now he has more NATO, and also will have Ukraine as a new member of NATO when the conditions will be met.
But to be a part of NATO, we should finish our war?
That's something that it is a big factor in our consideration in NATO, because being at war with Russia, it means that NATO will go at war with Russia, and it's something that we have to manage escalation, that's true. But also I know that every day the heroism of your people, the transformations of your country. I met here in Munich with Penny Pritzker, and she's the special coordinator from the US for the economic recovery of Ukraine. So when we speak about supporting Ukraine, it's not only military support, and you need ammunition, you need spare parts. By the way, Ukrainian pilots will soon come in Romania and train on F-16 fighter jets. So these things are coming. Sometimes not as fast as your people would love. We try our best. But I'm saying that we are now seeing Ukraine not only militarily successful, but also economic recovery, transformation of your society, fighting corruption. Now Ukraine is a fully digitalized government. I would love to see other countries following suit. So let's keep a little bit, let me tell you one thing. 1 year ago, or a few months ago, before the counteroffensive started, we are over-optimistic a bit because situation is complicated. Now I think we are a little bit over-pessimistic. So we're trying to find a sort of a right balance. It's tough. It's going to take time. But Ukraine has recovered 50% of that land you lost at the beginning of the war. In the Black Sea, the Russian Black Sea is hiding in the Azov Sea. So I think that also a little bit of good news coming out of from Ukraine.
I have a question about weapon as well. Our partners help us with weapons, but we run out shells very quickly because the battles are very intensive. So we need more artillery shells to save the lives of our soldiers. What do you think the solution could be? Would it be possible to get more shells to protect our territory and save lives of our people?
All of us in NATO countries, and I think around the world, for many long decades, we believe that Russia is becoming a normal, member of the international community, that there's no risk coming from Russia. So that's why our industrial production went down, because there was no risk, there was not enough investment in defense. And now, while Russia has moved to an economy of war, now the Russian economy is working for the war.
Yes.
In our countries, we have more capacity in theory than Russia, but it takes a little bit more time for us to start production again, to hire people, to get credits from the banks, to do more. But I'm, again, more optimistic because we talk in NATO, we talk to the EU, and I see our industrial capacity in NATO countries slowly picking up. So I think that, I know that now it's a relatively difficult situation because there is shortage, we know that. We do our best to find the best solutions. Now we also have the money, which is good. And now, yeah, it's always good to have money, always good to have money. But also what you are now trying to find a better way for us to make sure that production, especially of 155 millimeter ammunition, which is so much needed. So I think that this is a little bit of a difficult time now, but I'm seeing our surge in our industrial capacity, and I think we'll continue to help Ukraine and also help ourselves, because also our stocks are depleted because we gave almost everything we had to your country.
There is a discussion in our society about Ukrainian victory and what Ukraine needs to win. Some experts say that we need more people in the army, and others say we just need more weapons. For example, long-range artillery. What is your opinion on that?
This is a very interesting war in a way. So it's a combination of a more traditional, you see the trenches, you see this kind of very slow movements back and forth, which reminds us of the First World War. But we also see a technological war happening. Drones, combination of technology. Ukrainians are exceptionally smart, and they have ingenuity in innovating things that not even us in NATO are not doing. And by the way, we have decided to establish in Poland a lessons learned center with Ukraine and NATO, just to make sure that what you and us are learning in Ukraine can be used also by us. So it's a two-way street. So my answer is that probably there will be a need of mix of everything. More support from us, more ammunition, more logistics, more money, more fuel, more spare parts, more of everything else. Then, in terms of the discussion, I know it's complicated with mobilization. This is a decision of Ukraine and your leaders. This is something that NATO will never give you an advice to do this or that. It's up to your leaders and to your people to decide which is the right way to go. But in terms of support, financial support, technological support, military support, recovery, economic recovery support, I'm confident that we'll be able to continue to help your country and for you to win this war and for us to have Ukraine as part of our family.
Yesterday, Stoltenberg announced the delivery of 1 million drones to Ukraine during this year. We are really grateful for your help, but there is a problem. The Russians are constantly developing and improving their weapons. So what was updated yesterday may not be up to date a year from now. For example, the Russians have FPV drones with night vision cameras. Will drones for Ukraine be the same or even better? Will they be updated according to technological progress in this area?
Listen, I mentioned lessons learned just a minute ago. And during this war, there is also competition for innovation.
Yes.
Because we see, let's say, the use of drones. Originally, the Russian drones were quite dumb, not very sophisticated. You are doing much better. And then they learned the lesson, they improved their own thing. And now you are improving your systems also with the help of technology companies and NATO countries for you to... So I see there is a cycle of 3 to 6 months, once electronic warfare, many things. So what I can tell you that from 1 million drones, they always be state-of-the-art. But state-of-the-art is not static. So what is today a very successful drone, speaking of drones, could be in 3 months less of a successful drone. So the idea is for us to learn from each other and continue to improve. I'm meeting here in Munich the Minister of Innovation of Ukraine, because they also play a very important role, not only Ministry of Defense, but also Ministry of Innovation, and we are now looking in how we can help technologically Ukraine continue to be better than the Russians, because you are better than the Russians in terms of ingenuity and smart solutions. Sometimes in NATO will not be so successful in finding solutions like you do. So again, we're optimistic that this will be very helpful to you and to your nation.
According to your calculations, how long will NATO countries be able to help Ukraine? According to the British Institute of the Study of War, Russia will be able to continue the war without declaring general mobilization for 2 years, and weapons they have now will be enough for the next 3 years.
Listen, I'm sorry to say, but we predicted, Secretary General Stoltenberg of NATO said at the beginning of the war, this will be a long war. And of course, wars, the longer they get, the bloodier they become and the more difficult to sustain they are. I think the big difference between Russia, which is a bigger country, and Ukraine is that you're really fighting for your freedom.
Yes.
You're really fighting for your future. You're really fighting for the future of your children and grandchildren. And I believe that this will also matter a lot. When it comes to, I also see a shift. We had a meeting in the NATO-Ukraine Council with defense ministers, Minister Umerov and all the others, and we had also Josep Borrell from the European Union. And Josep represented the European Union, said something quite interesting, that we have to move from as long as it takes in helping Ukraine to whatever it takes in helping Ukraine. So I think the more we help Ukraine, the shorter the war becomes. The stronger the support of the West to Ukraine, the less interest for Russia to believe that they can stay engaged longer than our support. So I think the stronger the support for Ukraine, the shorter the war, and sooner the illusion from the Kremlin that they can outlast us, they can really have their way in Ukraine, will become unrealistic, and hopefully this will lead to a settlement to this war.
So Mircea, thank you for interview.
Thank you so much, and continue your excellent work on behalf of all of us.
Thank you for your work, and thank you for support Ukraine.